are you doing with our ice?
Nothing. Hey everyone, it's James from the Fit RV, and I've got one today that I think you're going to like. Now, we've probably all heard that advice at one time or another to put ice cubes into your black tank to scrub it out. But does that really work? Well, I had to know, so here's what I did. I wanted to simulate the worst possible thing I thought you could do to your black tank, and that would be to use it with the dump valve open. So what I did is I took one of the recipes for simulated waste that I bought from NASA, and I mixed it up and I just dropped it right into the tank with some toilet paper. And then, just for added effect, I smeared some around the sides, and I did some of my best high school toilet paper wads and stuck them in there too. So then I took that whole thing and set it out in the hot sun on a piece of black fabric for 2.5 hours. While that was going on, I built this test harness in the back of the truck. So let me show you that. Basically, it just holds the tank still while I go driving about. I also set up not just one, but 2 cameras so that we can see exactly what's going on when the ice is in here. And that's about it for the test rig. So now, since I'm not allowed to use the ice from in the kitchen, we're going to go to Dan's and pick up some ice. And we're off. Okay, so I drove around for about an hour. I drove like a complete maniac. Steph's car sick. The ice has done all it's going to do. So before I fill it up and dump it, let's just have a look at what's gone on inside the tank. First thing to notice is that the only stuff that's been knocked off the sides is just where the ice and water got to. Obviously, it didn't get any higher up on the sides of the tank than where the ice got. The next thing to notice is that the large lump of stuff that was inside the tank is still there. It didn't go away. The ice nibbled away at the edges of it, but by and large, it's still there. So with that said, I'm going to fill up the tank and let's see what happens. Okay. Here we go. And that has slowed to a trickle. Let's have a look. So, the water actually did take some things off the side, like that giant wad of toilet paper. But other than that, it looks about like I would expect. So what can I conclude from all this nonsense? Well, I really thought I was going to completely disprove the whole scrubbing ice cubes advice, but as you saw in the video, you really can get kind of a limited tank cleaning action by dumping ice down there. But this is subject to a few caveats, and the first one of these is, I use this as an excuse to drive like a complete lunatic. I really am surprised I didn't get pulled over. But what you didn't see is the other 58 minutes of video with the ice cubes just basically sitting still in the tank and not moving, even on some pretty curvy roads. So the first caveat is that if you want to get the ice to climb the walls of your tank, you need to drive like a jerk. Maybe you need to ask your spouse if that applies to you. The second condition is that you have to use just the right amount of ice. This is something else you didn't see, but if you put in too much ice, it just kind of packs in place and doesn't move around, even if you drive like a stuntman. The right amount of ice is something that just kind of covers the bottom of the tank and maybe a little bit more than that. The third thing is that you need to use the right amount of water. You want the ice sliding around on the bottom of the tank, but not necessarily floating, because once the ice starts to float, then anything under the level of the ice, you might as well just be soaking it. And I guess the fourth thing is that even if you do get a limited scrubbing action with the ice in the tank, it's just not that great. By now, I've seen enough of these things to know that what I saw with the ice is only marginally better than what you're going to get with just water alone. In fact, when I went to clean the tank, I didn't scrub it, I didn't spray it, I just used the garden hose and rinsed it out. It wasn't stuck on that hard. So why the scrubbing is so weak is pretty obvious when you stop to think about it. Consider how much force it takes to slide a wet ice cube across a wet surface. Not that much. Well, it takes the same amount of force to stop that ice cube, and even less to get it to change direction. So if anything is stuck onto the tank harder than that, it's going to push the ice and not the other way around. Now I know we're talking about more than one ice cube, but even if you got a dozen ice cubes to line up and hit the target, it's still a very low friction environment. So what am I going to do with all this? Well, if I ever feel like I need to scrub out the tank, I'm not going to use ice. I'm going to take a cue from Steph when she comes up against a dirty casserole dish with stuff baked on. I'm just going to soak it. It's going to save time, it's going to save money on ice and money on gas, and it's going to work just as well. That's all for now. I'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah, this doesn't work.